to the One-on-One Podcast with your host, Juan Ayala.
Welcome back to another episode of the One-on-One Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Juan. Make sure to follow the show on social media at the One-on-One Podcast on pretty much all social media platforms, www.tjojp.com. And today we have Professor Dave joining us. What's up, dude? Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Can you tell the people a little bit about you, what you do, what your channel is, where they can find you? And yeah.
Sure. I am a science communicator. The main thing I work on is the YouTube channel called Professor Dave Explains. I've been working on it for 10 years. It's primarily a database of academic tutorials in a wide variety of subjects to help high school and undergrad students get through their classes. But for 5 or 6 years now, I've been also doing a lot of debunking content. So I like to take things that are in the cultural milieu, so to speak, things that people are talking about that they fall for, whether it's just a cultural trend or it's the result of specific malicious bad faith actors that are spewing lies about science and so forth. I address those and combat those and dissect them, figure out why people are repeating these things, who is responsible, and try to debunk and expose them.
Yeah, and in specific, we're going to be talking about flat Earth, because I don't know if you caught the tone as to, I didn't think you were going to write back, to be honest. So I shot you a DM, and I don't know if you caught the tone, but I was kind of annoyed because I was arguing with somebody online about the flat Earth. And, I was kind of like, hello, Mr. Dave, this guy's never going to write back to me. And then you did. And I was like, all right, well, what do I do now? But we're going to be talking about flat Earth. And this is a polarizing topic because, again, like I told you, I'm in the truther community where if you care about the truth with a capital T, then you need to believe in flat Earth. And the more I dive into things, the more I'm realizing that some people are actually retarded and they operate. And the thing is, by me talking about certain things, I am legitimately, and I'm starting to realize this the more I go in, I am legitimately contributing to some people's mental health issues. Like some people are legitimately sick and they like to sit in these echo chambers. So when you say something out of line with that, they go berserk. I'm sure, I've had my life threatened over this topic. I'm sure you have as well. Because there's something about it that brings out this, I'm going to say,
a cult.
It's demonic. The way sometimes some people approach, what is wrong with you just because I say something, these words. But yeah, it is a cult. But my first, go ahead.
Yeah, when you envelop your identity around a certain ideology, and then someone threatens that ideology with reality, that person will react violently as though you are threatening them physically, right? Because it's a core part of their identity. So that's why you get that kind of reaction.
Sure. Yeah, and then that's indoctrination. So once you're indoctrinated in that line of thinking, if somebody tries, it's like a Stockholm syndrome, sort of like you start to relate to your captors and everything. No, they're good people. They're good people. So my first question to you is, Dave, because we're going to talk about some of the main points people say. And the reason I reached out to you in specific is because I have seen all of your debunking stuff. I've seen most of your debates. And I think that usually these flat earthers, they pick on low hanging fruit when it comes to, debating. They always want to debate. I think debating is kind of gay in my opinion, but they always want to debate and they kind of sort of always pick on the low hanging fruit. I've heard about flat earth. I know about flat earth, right? I've researched it, but it's not my identity how it is for some people. And a lot of these guys, when they go at you, well, defend the globe that you love, right? And they're going to ask you questions that they've already rehearsed. It's like, I might be able to remember 1 or 2 points. And the reason I like you, Dave, is because you're able to, okay, you said this, and this is why it's not that. and you give them an answer, but they're kind of they're coping really hard right now, especially with the whole final experiment thing, which went off, which we can talk about at the end. But
Sure.
my first question to you, Dave, is why are you covering up for the Illuminati lizard people and trying to hoard all the extra land for yourself? And are you a Fed?
Yeah, as you can see, I mean, I live in a palace. I mean, you know, I own a house, which is cool, but I'm not swimming in it over here. I'm not filthy rich. But interestingly enough, my flat Earth debunks do make a good bit of money just because it's so funny. People love to watch them. That's why I keep making them. Yeah, no, I'm just a guy who, honestly, flat Earth was the first thing that I debunked. I didn't even intend to become a debunker. It's just that I was making astronomy tutorials, and I thought it would be fun to wrap up the astronomy series with a debunk of astrology and a debunk of flat Earth. And I kind of thought the astrology one would be more controversial, honestly. I thought I'd get a lot of hate from that. People didn't really seem to care. But then the flat Earth, it was just that these guys, the Globe Busters, took that video where I honestly didn't look into anything that flat earthers say. I heard that there were flat earthers and I made a video about how we know it's not flat. And then they attacked me and did a 3-hour live stream. And I was like taken aback. That's the first time anyone really ever talked about me on the internet. Now they do it every day. Not just flat earthers, all kinds of people hate me. But so I was very vindictive, and I made this 45-minute piece tearing apart their live stream, and I was like, wow, this is a totally different kind of content. I'm really good at it. People really like it. So I did some more flat earth, but then I realized, hey, let's apply this to other more pressing issues. But the flat earth one is just so funny. It's so funny because it's the single dumbest thing that any human could possibly believe. And the characters in it are comedically, they're just cartoonish. These characters that are like the leaders of the flat earth, they're so stupid, they're so arrogant, they're so ridiculous, that it's just fun for millions of people to collectively watch, me clown on them and everything. So that's the popularity. I don't really remember exactly what the question was. Hopefully I answered it.
Why you're covering up for the Illuminati lizard people and trying to hoard all the extra land for yourself. You're not a Fed. That covers that, because that's the thing, right? Because part of that, you said astronomy and astrology. I've always said one popular meme that I put out that gets a lot of engagement and people seem to just go off with is it's all fake and gay, right? And a majority of things are fake and gay, right? Like astrology, flat earth, and all these different things, but not everything is fake and gay, right? There is an explanation for everything. And I think what a lot of people don't like about these things is some people don't like being told what to do or what to believe. So I think how I mentioned to you earlier, some people are just going to go against the grain just because well, it's this. Nuh-uh. Well, yes, it is. That's just the way it is. And even little kids do this, right? You don't do that. I'm gonna do it. Why? My 6-year-old son, I can tell him to do something and he needs a full explanation. And flat earthers are like that. You give them the full explanation and they still don't want to believe, right? It's well, then you don't care about the truth, right? You don't care.
No, they don't want an explanation. They're allergic to reality. It's a way for delusional narcissists with a nearly absent cognitive ability to feel superior. Right. There's two components. They're the dumbest people alive, but they're also delusional narcissists. So they like to convince themselves that they're the smartest people alive. Mm-hmm. So when you have the dumbest people alive pretending to be the smartest people alive, the only way they're able to do that is to take the entire edifice of scientific knowledge that has been gathered over 1,000 years and go, nope, all fake.
All good.
And sure, in the 90s colloquial sense of being bad. And assert themselves above that, right? They literally think that they are Neo in the Matrix. That's not a joke. They really, truly think that all of this is fake and I've awoken and I know the truth. And that's how they position, as a delusional narcissist, that's how they position themselves above the rest of humanity as a coping mechanism for how ineffectual and pointless they are, right?
At this point, my problem isn't with flat earth, the concept, I get it. we can come up with fan fiction. We can come up with different ideas, right? There's authors who create stories. Star Wars is a story. Game of Thrones is a story. That's all cool. No one's going around talking. Oh, some people are, right? There's the Neo defense and all the Matrix defense. There's not people going around, talking about the what the hell was it in Game of Thrones? The
big ice wall or
they're coming from the north. What the hell were they? The White Walkers or something?
The White Walkers. Sure. Yeah.
Something like that. Nobody's going around preaching that, right? It's like, we know that is fake. My problem now is probably more to do with the flat earthers and like the people that it attracts and their delivery. Because one thing that annoys me the most, because I'm looking for, again, I told you I study history. I study a whole bunch of different things. And I literally talk about anally birthed alchemical artificial humanoid men, homunculus, right? In alchemy. Nobody says anything to me. Oh, hell yeah, dude. Love that. Hey guys, I got cooked for this one too. Global warming might be real and the earth might not be flat. The second one, they just go crazy. They just you obliterated their reality with me saying that. And I go, there's so many double standards in all of this. It's like it's ridiculous. So,
well, there's a prior context, right? When you make up some crap off the top of your head, nobody has a prior context with which to react to that. When you talk about global warming, science deniers have been primed to deny that. And they've spent a lot of time interacting with content that primes them to deny that. So they have a visceral reaction because they've been trained. It's a Pavlovian mechanism, right? Pavlov's dogs and the bell, right? All you have to do is say global warming and people get rabid. Oh my God, I have something because
Dave, which is it
this,
though?
right?
So so humans can't affect the weather, but I live in Florida. But the Illuminati is sending hurricanes out of their foreskin to hit us to try and take the lithium or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So make it make sense. That's what I'm saying. It's like, so which is it? Can people affect the weather or can they not?
Right.
It's this. You're saying the same thing differently. We can talk about gravity because I feel like that's another one that here. The next question: do you believe we went to the moon? And why did NASA record over the footage? And how could they have lost the technology?
Yeah, we obviously went to the moon. You can actually zoom in on the original Apollo landing site from the ground. You can see it. We also bounce lasers off the mirrors that were left up there. Yeah, we've actually went to the moon. I don't know what you're talking about, recording over anything. I don't think that's a thing. And we didn't lose the technology. We just don't make that technology anymore. We make better technology, right? The Ford Model T car factory doesn't exist anymore. Doesn't mean it's impossible to make a Ford Model T. Just means the factory's not there. We have much better rockets now, and we're going to, countries have sent crafts to the moon within the past couple of years. They were unmanned, but Israel, China landed on the moon within this decade. So the Artemis, is it called Artemis? I forget. There's going to be a manned moon mission in the next couple of years. So that'll be fun if there's any flat earthers left to see how they. Fake, CGI, green screen. I mean, it's just ridiculous, like what they're doing with the final experiment too. No, we went to the moon. Yes.
Yeah, I have Donald Petit here, American astronaut and chemical engineer. I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is that we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back up. So, yeah. Sure. I believe space is a real place. I don't fall in line with everything is CGI. I don't fall in line with the stars and everything is a holographic projection system. I don't fall in line with that. And the reason I say that is because, again, space plays a role in the occult. And, I know you mentioned astrology and that you debunked it, so you don't believe in astrology. I don't 100% believe in it, but I think that maybe the stars and the alignments of things do have a subtle influence, right? In talismanic magic, it's a thing. It's using number, again, to infuse things. But again, this is coming from a magical thinking perspective. What do you think about magic, Dave? Magic with a K, not stage magic with like the occult. What are your thoughts on that?
That it is not real.
All right. So the first one that they all say, the like one of the main ones, water finds its own level. Because the ocean is flat, because they can zoom in all the way on that boat with a P1000 or whatever the hell it's called.
P900, lots of things to say here. First of all, flat and level do not mean the same thing, right? Level means perpendicular to the vector pointing to the center of the Earth, right? Gravity is pulling everything towards the center of the Earth. So level would be perpendicular to that vector, and that vector changes, right? It's a sphere. So as you're wherever you are on the surface, that tangent plane changes. And so, the ocean is not flat, exhibits curvature just like the land. The funniest thing is that on their magic pizza land, water also is not flat because tides exist. All right, tides are the water, the height of the water changes depending on whether the tide is in or out, high tide or low tide. And so on their flat plane, they just have little hills of water that are floating around. They hate talking about tides because they have no way to talk about it without contradicting their flat water thing. And then with the cameras, no, ships clearly go beyond the horizon. That's why they disappear bottom up. And then they say, well, we can bring it back. No, you can't. Once it's gone past the horizon, you can't bring it back. You can't. So they just lie.
So you're telling me that this map here is incorrect, Dave?
I don't know what the hell that is.
So this is another, I guess, flat.
Oh, this is like a made up, like we're in one of these little realms and all of these other. So my question would be, who the hell made this and where the hell did you get this information? Or did you pull it completely out of your ass? Because yes, you definitely did. So where are we?
I'm trying to find that. So apparently what I heard about, this is one of like the popular ones. This dude gets millions of views on YouTube, right? Because they always talk about being censored. I mean,
this is adorable fiction. Like it's a fun, like you said, like a Game of Thrones
the Anunnaki lands, dude. That's pretty fucking dope. I think we're here. I think that's us there. That's the ice wall. And then behind that is where all the other lands that you're hiding from us, Dave, that you're trying to not let us conquer or are behind here.
I know, because there's so much oil and coal,
lithium
out there. We're spending trillions of dollars a year employing millions of scientists who don't do anything because geology is all fake and astronomy is all fake and physics is all fake. And they all just play Minesweeper all day long and get full salaries. We're spending all that money to hide the coal and oil in these other lands, right? Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It makes sense to me too, dude. So this is one of the models I've seen. There's also one of my favorite ones. I think it's Crater Earth. I don't know if I can pull that one up. Crater Earth is kind of sort of similar to, again, this other sort of not make-believe or fan fiction. I'm trying to be as respectful as possible here today, Dave, because these are real people.
Sure.
So, I can't find it here. But anyways, there's another one called Crater Earth, which is one of my favorites. The next one is the sun is local. It's only 3,000 or 4,000 miles away. I don't know. I don't know why they say this, because they can see it or because of the shadows or something or other. What do you have to say about that?
Go up there and get a closer look, right? As you ascend in altitude, it should get bigger. No?
And hotter, right? Technically?
And hotter. Sure. Why not hotter?
One thing I heard, it was, this would actually prove against it. No, I think it would prove towards it. Fulcanelli in the early, I think, 19th century, 19th century, I think early 1900s. He said that the reason that we know something about the sun and others is because now No, I'm getting confused. No, fuck that. All right, next one. The speed at which the Earth rotates. They always talk about this one because it rotates at X amount of miles per hour, and they always do the water on the ball experiment because they spin it around, and they go, "There's no possible way that the water and us could be stuck to the ball because it's spinning at a way too fast of a rate to keep us on it."
So it spins once per day. That's what a day is. That's literally what a day is how long it takes for the Earth to rotate once on its axis. Or actually, that's a sidereal day. Technically, a solar day would be a tiny bit more than that. But yeah, they take the linear tangential speed at the equator because it makes it sound like it's going really, really, really fast, spinning around. It rotates once per day. That's what a day is. You can calculate the centrifugal force, and it does exist, right? If it was spinning 1,000 times a second, everything would fly off of it. That's true. But you can calculate the centrifugal force at the equator. It's something like 0.03 meters per second squared, as opposed to 9.8 meters per second. It's 1/200th or 1/300th of the force of gravity that's pulling us towards the center of the Earth. So they're idiots. And then the way that they do it, you can't make water stick to a spinning ball. Things stick to the Earth because it's fucking huge. It generates a gigantic gravitational field. When you take a tennis ball, first of all, when you wet a tennis ball and spin it, it's still wet, which honestly approximates the amount of water on the Earth, right? The waters are water does not go very deep compared to the size of the Earth. But second of all, it drips off of the ball because it's going to the Earth because of gravity. But
it's observable, Dave. I mean, that's the whole thing, right? That they can observe it.
Observe what? What do you mean?
The experiment, because they can observe it themselves, so it's real. That's one of their main things.
They have no idea what they're looking at. They have no idea what they're even talking about, right? They're looking for proof of gravity, and their desired demonstration of gravity fails because gravity exists. Yeah. It's pulling water to the Earth because of gravity. Right. Nobody said that, like, they have this obsession with shape. They think that water allegedly sticks to the Earth because it's a sphere. It has nothing to do with a shape. Right. It's not like a ball magically attracts water. It's mass. Right. The Earth is incredibly massive. So it generates an enormous gravitational field. Now, coincidentally, anything large enough, like a moon or a planet, is going to be a sphere because that's the shape that reduces the gravitational potential. Right. Everything large enough crushes itself into a roughly spherical shape because that's what minimizes the gravitational potential energy, right? Everything's going to get crushed as close to the center of that object as possible. So that's why everything, right? You can see asteroids that have weird shapes, but if you get way bigger than that, like at least the size of a moon, it's going to be a sphere because that's how gravity works, So that's it.
Yeah, it's almost reaching like a sort of equilibrium. Like, that's the shape that would most equally distribute the gravity, how you're saying, so it's coming to a mass. So that makes sense. And is that what happened with Pluto? Because Pluto's not a planet anymore, right?
Pluto was demoted to a dwarf planet because of a few criteria. The main one being that it, in order to count as a planet, it has to clear a certain percentage of the debris within its orbit. So the thing is that there's so many trans-Neptunian objects that are roughly similar to Pluto in size that if we called Pluto a planet, we would suddenly have to call hundreds of other objects planets. And so instead of doing that, we just said Pluto's not a planet. All right. So people flip out. It's like, okay, I'm sorry that you lost like your favorite planet or whatever, but it makes more sense to say that Pluto is a dwarf planet. It's a trans-Neptunian object along with all of these hundreds of other rocky bodies that are way out in that orbital radius. And then just say we have 8 planets. So that's why that happened.
You know that Lovecraft, H.P. Lovecraft had allegedly predicted Pluto 2 or 3 years before they actually found it with a telescope. And there's a mountain on Pluto named Cthulhu something or other, like the tentacled octopus monster, which I found really interesting. All right, so the speed at which it rotates, way too fast to keep us on here. Why can't you see the curve? That a lot of people talk about. They say that they go up on airplanes and they can't see the curve, and the curve that we do see in pictures is fisheye.
Well, so you can see the curve on the ground. It's called the horizon, right? A horizon exists. That only happens because of the curvature of the Earth. There's a physical limitation to how far we can see. That goes farther with elevation, obviously, right? The sphere, the circle of visible visibility depends on your height. So, but you're not going to see very pronounced curvature because the Earth is so big, right? When you're in a plane, you're like, if this is the Earth, you're like a millimeter above it. You're barely above it. So you're not going to be expecting to see like, those planets in Le Petit Prince or whatever, where it's like a little ball and you're standing on it. It's not how it works, But then, of course, satellites and stuff, flat earthers just say it's all fake, even though we have, real-time 24/7 live stream from the ISS showing everything. And
a little bit.
Well, I mean, if you take really sophisticated measuring technology, right, our eyeballs are not sophisticated measuring devices, right? We can't detect minute discrepancies in angle and things like that with our eyes, but with technology we can. And yeah, there is a very, very, very slight curvature to the horizon. That's true. But and then it's more pronounced with elevation until you're in orbit and then you're very clearly looking at a sphere. Or especially from the moon or whatever.
Yeah, because this is one of the pictures. If you zoom in here, you can see the buildings and everything. This is one that they always talk about. I shouldn't be able to see this over here. And I know you said something about sea level in one of your videos that I found really interesting.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember what.
Where it's like, this is sea level, this is sea level, this is sea level. And then the reason that you can see...
Oh, yeah, because there are idiots that are like, look, there's no change in elevation from this sea level place to this. Yeah, it's freaking sea level. Like they don't like flat earthers have a hard time separating cardinal directions and elevation. Like some idiots think that like as you're going south, you're going uphill. So they're like, how can this river flow south? That's uphill. No, you moron. The cardinal directions are directions along this along the face of the sphere. Elevation is up and down, away from the surface or back towards. Like that's how dumb they are. But then about that picture you just said, right? When you can see the buildings far away, what portion of the buildings can you see, and which portion of the buildings can you see? Is it only the tops of the buildings? Gee, I wonder why. Right.
Right. Yeah.
They never have an answer for that.
Yeah, the tip, because that would make, all right. So I think you talked about this one. Why can you zoom into the boats far away? You said that they never stay on the boat because it goes, what is it, ass up and then goes over?
Right. Well, so what they like to do sometimes, due to certain atmospheric conditions, a boat will become not visible to the naked eye as you're on the shore. Right. Just sometimes, the atmosphere is such that we lose sight of the boat, and then they use their special camera to bring the boat back into vision, which is fine, right? The camera can see farther than the eyeball can. But if you stay zoomed in and watch the boat disappear bottom up, right? Once it actually goes beyond the horizon, you can't bring it back. It's gone. It's not visible to you anymore. So these idiots like to see, that looks a little kind of foggy, right? It looks a little like just the conditions are not optimal for viewing that ship as long as possible, right?
Sail over the curve of the Earth.
Mm-hmm. But it does, right? So if you zoom all the way in, once they zoom in, they never watch very long, right? Because eventually it does disappear bottom up beyond the horizon. So there's plenty of footage of that, right? There's somebody will zoom in all the way from the shore to something that you could barely have even seen or couldn't even see, obviously with the naked eye. And then they just do that to be like, look, they said it's beyond the horizon, but now I can see it. Well, it wasn't beyond the horizon.
Just want to remind everyone, make sure to check out the show on Patreon, patreon.com/the One-on-One Podcast. I constantly get emails. Oh, only one episode a week. Yeah, one episode a week for the public, but for as little as $5 a month, you can get up to 2, sometimes 3, sometimes 1 episode per day on the Patreon, as well as on the YouTube channel as a member for as little as $5. And there's also on the Patreon over 250 episodes only found on there. There's an extensive backlog of episodes. So check that out for those interested, for those asking. Make sure to follow the show on YouTube, Juan Juan Podcast. Also, Juan Juan Media. I am going live every Tuesday on there streaming. I also go live on twitch.tv/Juan on Juan Podcast. So make sure to check me out on there Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern. And make sure to get your copy of the Occultus Mundi Homunculus Owner's Manual, all that good stuff at tjojp.com. Can pick up your copies there or go over to the Ko-Fi. I'm on Facebook, Twitch, Kick, Rumble, all that good stuff. You know where to find it, and enjoy this episode.
It just, the conditions were such that you couldn't see it with the naked eye. But if you zoom in all the way, it's gonna go disappear bottom up if you stay watching it long enough, you know.
Right on. Yeah, no, I mean that makes sense. I've never done it, so I don't know, but I'm sure
There's plenty of footage of it.
Of them going over?
Yeah.
All right. Well, they don't ever show us that one.
Just YouTube boat disappearing bottom up. Right. I have some of it in my debunks. I just speed it up and put it in there.
So, yeah, bottom up right here. So,
well, yeah, maybe on YouTube, you know, so get the video of it.
All right. So, the curvature, right? They always say this is way too far away. There should be X amount of curvature. It would be impossible for me to be able to zoom in on it. Obviously, they don't stay on it enough. Just because it disappears from your eyeball doesn't mean it
Right. Or they just lie, right? They take a picture from very, very high elevation and don't incorporate the higher elevation into the calculation, or they just lie about what they're looking at. They say it's this mountain that's supposed to be 200 miles away, but it's a different mountain and that's 80 miles away, and they're just lying. Yeah, all that stuff. Jay Tolan Media, right? They all reference that guy who just lied a bunch of times and said, I'm seeing this thing that's this far away, and it's not. It's either a different object, or he didn't incorporate the altitude, or whatever.
This is one of my favorites. Space is fake and gay, and all of NASA photography is CGI. Right. And
yeah,
my whole thing with the celestial bodies, again, directly behind me right here, right now, is you can't see it, but I have a huge telescope, right? And I've always told them, I go, hey, I can see it with my eye. I can see that it's there. But is it fake? Is it a holographic projection? Is it a what do they call it? A luminary, right? That it's giving off this whole thing. And there's people who do legitimate astrophotography, where a lot of these pictures are not put out by NASA. Like, these are people who have the right equipment, right? And and the way
it's incredible what amateur telescopes can do these days.
Oh, 100%, dude. I've seen some beautiful, beautiful shots as to, this whole astrophoto. And it's real. I've seen nebulas. I've seen all that. I don't have like a crazy, camera setup. I can't take the pictures these people take, but it's possible.
You especially can see planets and the moon. Anyone who looks at the moon, like I've looked at the moon at Mount Wilson Observatory, and it's like looking at Google Earth, like the level of detail of like the craters and all the it's amazing.
Yeah, because again, because you're closer, right? So you said on a mountain, so you're up on a mountain.
Yeah, but it's just a much more powerful telescope, right? It was the most powerful telescope in the world 100 years ago. So now it's not like that impressive, but it's as far as we can't get access to high tech observatories as civilians, right? We can go to this one, and it's incredible.
So all NASA photos are CGI. What do you have to say about that? The most recent one that I saw, I think, was it a picture of Venus, right?
Sure.
It wasn't NASA. It was, I think, Venus photograph.
I mean, it's just the most pathetic cope imaginable. First of all, CGI was invented in the 80s, right? NASA came about in the 50s. Right. All of the photographs from the Apollo missions are film photographs, like a film camera where you go click and then develop the film in a developing lab. Right. So these people are idiots. And second of all, they're obsessed with NASA. They refuse to acknowledge that there are dozens of other space agencies. And then second, as you said, like anybody can take a picture of Venus. Anybody can take an amateur telescope and take a picture of Venus. So I just like it's it's astounding, like, that people could still fall for flat Earth in the 19th century. I can buy it. But in the 21st century, I'm sorry, you're just the dumbest person alive if you fall for this stuff. It's just such easily verifiable, like things that we can all do, naked eye observations, or, you know, using a telescope, whatever it is, just simple things that we can all do to prove to ourselves that the Earth is a sphere. And they won't do it, you know.
Because again, it feels like we have access to so much information nowadays, but people are not doing anything with it. And it feels like they're getting dumber and dumber. But I think that that's a fault of the fact that we have so much information available to us, which is a good thing and a bad thing, because then you can kind of yeah, exactly. You can nitpick what narratives you want, and if you already have a bone to pick with, let's say, the government or any, because right, the government's done bad things. There's governments that have done bad things. We know that. You know, there's people in power who abuse their power. Therefore, they're all the same, right? And so,
yeah, but it's such a toddler mentality, right? Government bad. If you are of the mentality that you have zero ability to apply nuance or critical thinking, and your ethos is government bad, therefore, like, what happens is that you're susceptible to disinformation that is of the theme government bad, right? Or X corporation bad, or fill in the blank bad, right? That there are people out there who peddle disinformation for financial gain that is of these themes, right? And all they have to do is say what the government doesn't want you to know or something, and millions of people just eat it up because it's the flavor that they enjoy. So yeah, nobody says that governments are perfect, right? The American government is currently carrying out horrible atrocities and murdering people all over the world. But that doesn't mean that the Earth is flat, or that basic knowledge that we have had for millennia is somehow now false. So the problem with the internet is that it's where we are at now is complete epistemological breakdown, right? We have access to all the factual information, and it is buried by false information of at least an order of magnitude greater volume. So there's all the facts that we've ever known surrounded by mountains of disinformation and people trying to spin false narratives for financial or political gain, obviously. And it's just it's a complete mess. It's the single greatest problem facing mankind, is how do we get people to know what is true in this age?
Because you have mainstream news too that also do the same thing on both sides. And I've seen even recently in my space of people, there was this influencer, I guess you could call him, or some guy who was who got caught, I think, taking money from other governments, and he was running two pages. One was pro-Trump and the other was anti-Trump, and he was banking off both sides. He pulled the old, hey, I sold the account a while ago, or I got hacked or something like that. You know, the good old, I got hacked, that wasn't me posting, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, he got exposed for that. And it's like you said, if they're doing it on the small scale with 200,000, 300,000 followers, they're definitely doing it on the larger scale.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, yeah. See, that's the thing. I mean, we've known that mainstream media is rife with propaganda, right? That doesn't mean that they never report factual information. It just means that you have to be discerning, right? You have to be able to compare many sources, where whatever any news source says, you have to compare it to other, right? So like on the right, they whine about CNN, and on the left, we're like Fox News, right? So Fox News is a propaganda organization, right? CNN is a news organization that sometimes peddles propaganda, right? For in various directions, right? But the problem that people don't understand, that very gullible people don't understand, is that doesn't mean that one lone person that's cloaked themselves as a whistleblower is telling the truth all the time, right? An individual person can also be lying constantly. And so it's just there people have been captivated by those certain demagogues and are taking everything that they say at face value without applying any critical thinking. But in reality, we need to apply critical thinking to all sources of information, whether it's CNN or Fox News or this random asshole on the internet. This random asshole could be a whistleblower, right? They could be offering legitimate information, or they could be completely full of shit and lying every time they open their mouths. And if if people, it's just about if people like the narrative that they're offering, if it makes them feel good about themselves, if they like the identity that they can create based on that narrative. So
I was doing an episode yesterday on Neoplatonism and the Platonists and everything, and how they encourage, right, some certain beliefs are all about, meditation and quieting the mind. And the Platonists were like, no, like the mind is God. Like that's your connection to the source. So you have to embrace that. And then once you were able to embrace that and, transcend, you were able to come back and see reality in a new light. And I think that religion took that idea, that concept, and it's like religion nowadays, I believe in God. I don't believe in religion because I think it is a brokered experience. They want you to just follow and, fall in line, give your tithings, and we'll let you know when our guy talks to the big guy upstairs, and we'll make sure to put in a good word for you. And that kind of takes away the proactiveness of a person to be able to think for themselves. Like, okay, well, I guess I'll just wait around and hopefully he puts in a good word for me. And whenever he comes, I'm going to be a good law-abiding citizen and just follow the rules and just keep, kind of do what you're told and not really ever look into it for yourself.
Traditionally, what the purpose that religion has served. Yeah.
Which is not a bad thing because, again, speaking about all this thing, I think that a lot of people who fall for everything and want to make a conspiracy about everything, not only is there a part of it, which is mental health, which, some people like to live in those realities. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Again, my issue is when this video they're going to go nuclear. If you're quiet just enough, Dave, you can hear their keyboards.
Okay, you have a lot of nut job followers. I admit I didn't look into your podcast at all. I don't know.
I wouldn't call them nut jobs, but there's like a sect of, again, the flat earth. They come out of the woodwork, and this is the whole thing. Well,
they know me. They hate me.
Flat Earth doesn't. This is why they're gonna love this episode. Flat Earth doesn't spend billions of dollars in propaganda every year to push the flat Earth model. It's like, yeah, but I also don't see the government in my comment section telling me about how wrong I am about the shape of the earth and how I'm a shill. And it's always the same thing, right? Like if you come out and say something against the narrative, like, hey, global warming might be a thing. They've been saying it for the last 50 years. We get, rapid intensification of I've been through many, many hurricanes because I've lived here since 1997 or 98 in Florida. I've been through all the hurricanes from that time to now. And it seems to be getting progressively worse and worse. But it's like, no, humans can't affect the weather. But the Illuminati can send hurricanes your way to try and take your land from you.
Right. On a whim. Just ping.
What?
Floated over there.
What are you saying, dude? Right? So the next thing, what was I going to say? What are your thoughts on UFO and the drone situation?
I haven't really kept abreast of the drone thing. I don't even really know what that is. The UFO thing, I'm not convinced that any of those sightings are extraterrestrial in nature. So
yeah, because you were mentioning the whistleblowers, and I've never seen any whistleblower. Right, a whistleblower is supposed to be on their own dime and everything, but all these whistleblowers that come out always have to get approval before they say anything about anything. It's like, wait, weren't you a whistleblower? Isn't that the whole point of being a whistleblower, that you can say whatever you want when you want? It's like, no, I got to double check to make sure I can say that. So it's like that's a red flag. But how you're saying these people, they want I was talking about the New Age movement last night, and it's like, wait, so you're telling me that the Ashtar Galactic Command isn't gonna elevate our consciousness and help us transcend to the next dimension? It's like, well, again, because it's all about. So I'm sorry, my 2-year-old is at my door. So the next one, let's talk about this here for a little bit as we get here to the end. The latest debacle. There are some flat earthers that went to Antarctica and they're kind of coping hard. They're taking it hard because now their community is turning on them, and they realize all the damage that they've done themselves. And now they're on the receiving end of that because now they're going against what they preached for so many years. But the whole 24-hour sun in Antarctica, what happened,
it's really funny
over the holidays.
Yeah.
Do you have anything? I know you made a video before about how everyone was backing out.
I made a video before, and I'm going to make another video. I'm actually talking to Will today in a couple hours to do another interview. And he's going to give me a few more. Like, when I make those videos, I don't have time to go look at what all the flat earthers are saying. I just don't care. But he knows because he's monitoring the situation. So for the first video, he gave me kind of like a summary of bullet points of like, this guy said this guy said this. So he's giving me another one of those, and I'm doing another interview with him today to put out another piece. It's just fun. People want to know what happened, because there's a lot of people who are like just casually interested in flat earth, like they're not invested to like see what held, but they'll watch one of my videos where I'm just like, here in 40 minutes is what is happening. They think it's fun. So I'm going to do another one. Yeah, apparently from what I can gather, I mean, obviously I know that Austin and Jaron both are like, there's a 24-hour sun. We saw it, so I don't know what to tell you. I don't know yet. I'm sure Will tell me if either Austin or Jaron renounced flat earth. I bet Austin didn't. Jaron might have. I'm not sure. I'll get the scoop when I talk to him.
I haven't been able to discern where they're at, because they're kind of sort of borderline. I think that they're trying to do damage control and not fully go. Like David Weiss has already been like, hey, this just prove. Now, here, I wrote down one of the quotes that I've been seeing a lot, which you can read both ways, really, because I was talking to my friend about this yesterday. So it says, truth fears no investigation. That's what they've been saying now, because, again, they push it like it is the truth. And
yeah, funny how none of those morons had the balls to go to Antarctica. Right? Weiss could have gone. Dubé could have gone. These guys they're such losers. It's unbelievable. Like, I have to give a little bit of credit to Austin and Jaron. Jaron more than Austin, because Austin is just fucking insufferable. Jaron seems like a semi-decent guy, at least. But I do really enjoy that, just like watching the whole thing implode, and Austin in particular having to deal with just like the blowback of like just seeing how unbelievably toxic and pathetic and reality avoidant that community is now, and it's being directed right at them. It's beautiful. But I'll have a better assessment of this in like a week after I make the video with the follow-up, because as of right now, I don't really know exactly what is happening. But yeah,
you're gonna have a ball, because I mean, there's so many conspiracies now. There's Vapegate.
I heard a little bit of that. Yeah,
there's the whole. And here's the thing about Will, right? The guy who put it together. These are people which, from my understanding, this isn't the first time somebody's done this, right? They've done this before, where they've recorded the 24-hour sun.
Yeah, of course.
So I don't understand why this is such a big, like, oh wow, like
it's not. It's not a big deal at all. It's just that flat earthers went for the first time. Flat earthers went there.
Which that's imperative. Like, Antarctica is like the one main thing they talk about, that they're, and I know
a lot of things they talk about, but they're on the record saying there's no 24-hour sun in Antarctica. All of them, Dubé, 100%. Weiss, all of those idiots are like, there's none there, but we can't go see because the government won't let us, because the NASA Jew penguins will shoot us on sight if we try to go to Antarctica. And then this guy Will is like, let's go, I'll pay. And they're all like, I don't want to go. It's like the most pathetic and beautiful thing I've ever seen. But so they went and they saw it, and then everyone's like, no, you didn't. You're fake shills. We hate you.
You did it under duress is the next one that they were doing it. And so, yeah, that's one of the main things that they've already come up with rebuttals as to why. And then the one thing that bothered me about Will, it's like, you know that these people will not believe anything that they're told, just because at this point, I think it's fun to go against the mainstream. And I think that if mainstream media, or the mainstream narrative, right, the Rockefeller indoctrination system, if they were to say it's flat earthers would say it's a globe. just because it's the opposite of whatever the mainstream is saying.
Yeah, it's contrarianism on steroids, and it's also does not have any basis in reality, has no basis in factual information. It has a basis on fantasy and the way it makes them feel. So there is absolutely nothing. If like there are people on the periphery who can be gotten, and there are people who are hardcore in the cult that make changes in their own life and mind that make them ready to be able to discard the belief. But there's nothing from the outside in. There's nothing anybody can say. There's nothing anybody can show them that will penetrate that, right? They're either going to go to their grave like that, or or something internal is going to happen that makes them ready to step away from that. But there's no like, oh, you said this wouldn't happen, but here it did. So now you don't believe that, right? No, because it could be this, or it's fake, or blah, blah, blah. Like they just will make up anything. It's this unbelievably pathetic defense mechanism where they are shielding their pathetic little identity from all of reality. I mean, it's just that simple. They just will not be swayed by anything.
I think that a lot of people who talk about it don't actually believe in it. I think that they're just, again, grifting.
Oh yeah, no, the leaders are grifters, right? Weiss is a grifter, Dubé is a grifter. They know that it's not flat, otherwise they would have gone to Antarctica to prove that it's flat, right?
And that's why I think that they're the agents, not us trying to. Again, I'm just here to research.
Agents, they're just idiots making a buck, right? Because they have no better way to make a few dollars,
But again, I'm here to ask questions, and I can't even ask a simple question as to like, why? Well, this, and they get super defensive. And one of the things that bothered me about Will was, if these people are biting at the bit to like find any little thing, why wouldn't you? And again, this can happen to anybody. Why wouldn't you tidy it up 100% to where they can't find anything? And he left the green screen on.
Well, no, but the thing is, he kind of did, right? He tried his best to be like, this is what we're going to do. If you have anything you want us to do, if you have anything that you think will, if whatever problem you're going to have with this, let us know in advance and we'll do anything we can. So like they were doing the live stream and they're like, oh, it's a green screen. So he flew the drone or whatever. I mean, that's what he told me anyway. But
it was beeping because it was getting near the end of the stage.
Yeah, something like that. But it was because it was near one of the guys. So I mean, like he tried his best to be like, what is the problem? What is the dumb shit that you're going to make up to say it's fake? Tell me now while I'm here, and I'll prove that you're wrong with the drone, or look at the thing, or what insane shit are you going to make up? Tell me while we're here. And of course, they did some stuff, and he proved everything, all the dumb things that they say are wrong. And then they eventually had to leave because they're going to stay there forever, right? And then once they're gone, they keep making up new shit. And we're like, well, we're gone now, so I don't know what to tell you, right? So
yeah, and it's part of the social media game where things are driven by clicks, they're driven by engagement. And again, I know this is going to be driven by the engagement because it's a polarizing topic for some people. There's people who aren't
for flat earthers, not for normal people.
No, but even for the people who don't believe in it, to tell the flat earthers how unbelievable it is, right? Like, how could anybody believe? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna have those, but on my side, I get mostly not so much earthers or globers, but more flat earthers, because I am talking about the homunculus and alchemy. How could I be so closed-minded? It's like, dude, I research. This is what I do. Like, I read things, and again, I'm not a scholar like you, a PhD or whatever it is, but I read things and I can present things, but I'm not presenting things as the whole 100% truth. I just want to have a conversation. You and I don't see eye to eye on a lot of things, but I can have a conversation with you and not call you an Illuminati Fed or whatever it is just because you're saying something that I don't like. Whatever. You don't believe in aliens? Cool. I mean, I think that maybe aliens could be a possibility. Maybe not.
No, I certainly believe that aliens exist. I just don't think they've ever been here.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So one more question for you, Dave, before we get out of here.
Sure.
I know your master's is in chemistry. Is that correct?
Science education. I did a bachelor's in chemistry, and then I almost finished a master's in synthetic organic chemistry, but I switched to science education.
What is more probable? That Paracelsus, the 16th century alchemist, the father of toxicology, created a homunculus, or that the Earth is flat?
I mean, both are factually not true, so they're equal at 0.
So you don't think that there's people being cloned and animals being cloned nowadays, dude? Test tube babies, all that research. So you don't think maybe in the 16th century they could have at least for 1 second replicated the correct conditions? I don't know.
How? We didn't have any understanding of genetics, chemistry. The fields of chemistry, really biology in general, I mean, certainly molecular biology, obviously, did not exist. How could we do something that we had zero understanding of?
You heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. Homunculus and flat earth, both fake and gay. Flat earth is done. We'll see what's next. As far as I'm more of a hollow earther, because how I've told people before, it's like, well, flat earth, well, take me there. Take me to, well, you're on it. No. I can go into underground. My friend lives in Vietnam, and I think it's the Dong Nang cave or something like that. Some crazy underground ecosystem. It's like a whole rainforest underground that has its own ecosystem, its own animals that only exist there. It's like, I could go there if I wanted to. I could book a trip and you can camp there. Like, there's actual camping trips you can go there. So I'm more of a hollow earther than anything. You can go to Turkey and Derinkuyu and go into the underground city that's there. It's like, that's a real place. But
yeah, those are caves. That doesn't make the earth hollow. It's not hollow.
You don't think it's hollow, dude?
It's factually not hollow.
So there's cavern systems then.
Yeah, just right here along the surface of Earth's crust.
So you don't think Agartha is on the inside of the Earth with an artificial sun, dude?
No.
So Admiral Byrd didn't go into Hollow Earth during Operation High Jump?
No.
Damn, dude. All right.
Check out my geology series. Right. We understand the structure of the Earth through seismological techniques. It's very well established empirical science. We know the structure of the Earth. Learn about it.
All right. Well, I thought maybe, I don't know, Dave. I thought maybe I could get you to loosen up a little bit and spill the beans, but you're pretty dead set on
no beans to be spilled.
We
know things, right? Yeah. We've studied everything there is to study for centuries, and we learn things, and everyone can feel free to learn what we as a species have already learned and contribute to that process too.
So no Bigfoot.
Well, I mean, that's a little bit different. I mean, I don't believe in Bigfoot, but it's a little bit different to be like, there was an organism and I saw it, or, that's different from the structure of the Earth that we can all probe empirically at any moment, right?
So you believe in Bigfoot?
No, I don't believe in Bigfoot.
No Bigfoot, no. Mothman, no Dogman, no Skinwalker. I mean, you're by California over by...
This all sounds very stupid to me.
All right. Yeah. Dave, dude, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, no problem.
And talking with me about this. This is probably going to be the last Flat Earth episode I ever do, just because coming into this new year, I want to just focus on other things and probably less conspiracies on my end, more history, things that we have, written record of, which again, people will say, no, well, all of history is fake. Plato wasn't a real person. Francis Bacon was, who the hell did they say he was? Anyways, the other guy. So I'm going to be focusing more on that. But I wanted to have you on just because that one day, I honestly, I didn't think you were going to write back. So I had hit you up, but when you did,
I'm happy to have a chat for an hour. Not a big deal.
One more time for the people at home listening, Dave, and all the supporters that are going to be in the YouTube comment section who are going to come specifically to see you. Where can they find you? Where can my people find you? I've never heard of you. You have a website or anything like that?
Just the channel, Professor Dave Explains. Take a look around. Lots of tutorials.
Links will be in the description. And as always, everyone, make sure to follow the show on social media at the 101 Podcast, www.tjojp.com. And I'll catch you on the next one.